¿no? 6 o'clock and begin the regular school board meeting of Hillcrest School District number 22. And first thing for the order, I want everybody to stand for the pledge of allegiance. Steve, you can start that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up will be treasurer Hunter's pledge. And as an adult and treasurer Hunter, I am committed to service for all talent, skill, intelligence, acknowledge children, I acknowledge children, successes, no exception. Everyone have a seat. And now, and next up is the roll call.
Mark Linden,
Here.
Steve Cartwright,
Here.
Anthony Valentino,
Here.
Ernie Lopez,
Here.
David Victor,
Here.
all present.
Moving on to D, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion for the approval of the agenda this time?
I move that we approve the agenda.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Courtwright. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Levantino. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes. Moving on to consent agenda items. Move on, I need a motion for consent agenda item A, approval of the action item consent items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Levantino has made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes. We're moving on to recognition.
For us, Tollwood Elementary School Principal Steve Krazan to come up. He will also be covering for Principal Tapia, who is out sick.
Making sure I know how to say his name. All right. I'm going to start with Toltec today, so I need Giovanni Munoz to come up here, please. Giovanni's in the 4th grade. And your teacher said, "Thank you for being consistently kind and respectful to your teachers and fellow classmates. You have demonstrated this exemplary behavior throughout the years, and I'm so proud of how you continue to grow. You set an example for others to follow, and I'm grateful to you. Thank you for the way you care about nature and the environment. I appreciate you."
Thank you, congratulations.
I know my other one isn't here. She's out of town this week. Zoraya Ramirez, she's in the 8th grade. I'm still going to read what it says though. Zoraya is a remarkable young lady that takes challenges and problems in stride. Regardless of what the circumstances are, she tries to keep a positive attitude and her chin up. Zoraya writes positive messages in her downtime and then distributes them around campus. She finds little ones that need a hug or a kind word and Zariah is right there to give them a smile and a positive message. She finds adults that need a pick-me-up, and she lets them know that they are appreciated and loved. She spreads joy and goodness throughout our campus. Zariah is a kid of hope. And I will tell you, Zariah does those things, and sometimes it's nice to get those little notes when you're having a down day, because I've gotten it from her before, and it's really nice. So,
I just want to say that it really touched my heart. That's beautiful.
and I have them hanging in my office as well. So, Zoe Pierce, come on down. Zoe is a hard worker and always here at work, except for her honeymoon. When we have people out, she asks if she needs to fill in and help out. Zoe helps the students. She works to see themselves as better humans and students in the classroom. And just so everyone knows, I'm just excited that all these pictures are going to have my Cleveland Browns shirt in it after beating the Steelers yesterday. So the staff of the month at ACE is Martha Horton. Are you here? There. So ACE's people as well. Just so you know, we'll take the picture with it. You will have to get your certificate back so that we can get this copy of the sign-in when she comes back, and then you will get your certificate back. Martha is willing to step up when needed for any job. She's asked to help out even in areas that are not her assigned duties. She loves working with her students and is very patient with students, especially those who have special needs. She works one-on-one with them and takes her time to make sure they are being successful in their schoolwork, along with feeling safe and wanted in the classroom. Martha loves to help with after school, along with working on things like dances and school activities, along with her own kids or students in those levels. She has wonderful school spirit and tries to be part of activities to help support the school. She is very creative and enjoys making sure that her hallway is decorative and has a friendly atmosphere for students. She is very supportive of her fellow coworkers and is there to help and support them in whatever endeavors they may need help with, along with being friendly and open for anyone new to the school to help them feel welcome and a part of the school community. So Anissa Bautista, is she here? She stepped out. Chevy Salazar. Chevy has improved since his first day in our class. He always greets you with a hug and a smile. He also likes to help teachers and other students around him. He's a great kid to have around in class. Okay. We'll get it back by on Monday. Josiah Torres. Josiah is always the student I can count on when I need help. Josiah is looking to help others, especially with computers and schoolwork. Matthew Karchmark. Did I get it? I can always count on Matthew to read aloud with me. He is great at working with others. I can put him in charge. Thank you, you are amazing.
Thank you, Mr. Corzine. The district treasurer for the month happens to be Mrs. Tapia, the Arizona City Elementary principal. This school year is the beginning of her 15th year with the district, and I appreciate her longevity and her commitment to Toltec School District. So congratulations, Mrs. Tapia.
And now we're moving on to a pause in place. That means that you're welcome to attend the governing board meeting if you want to stay. Those of you who wish to leave, because I know you've got better things to do with your children and home, and the recognitions of this meeting time is over with, and you can be excused. And would you please have happy holidays, and we'll be glad to see you when you get back. So everybody's dismissed if you'd like to. You took a job.
Thank you for coming and congratulations.
All right, back up.
Now we're moving on to the information discussion items. A, superintendent summary.
On the calendar, we have tomorrow school, and then we're off on Wednesday and Thursday for Thanksgiving. We have candy drives at both schools, and the principals have entered a contest, a friendly contest, about the loser, and they're doing a friendly competition measurable by the number of cans per student. The loser principal will have to dress in attire that shows school spirit for the other school, the winner. So I can't wait to see that. We appreciate Eloy Fire Assistant Chief of Operations, Robert Miestas, for providing Narcan training free of charge to a group of employees this past week. We want to thank him for his time and support. I want to thank the following employees who were in perfect attendance during the first quarter. We're a little late with this just because of our ransomware attack. These are the employees that had perfect attendance for the entire first quarter. Anastasia Alejandro, Teresa Amos, Maria Andrade, Alana Brown, Dorian Burgos, Fabiola Carrios. I apologize if I'm butchering any names, I know I am. Delia Greger, Diane Stino, Joseph Colacho, Julia Coda, Kenneth Crumbaker, Regine Diaz, Tiffany Dean, Taylor Espanada, Itzel Espinosa, Sandra Fairbanks, Christina Garcia, Adam Garza, Daniel McDowell, James Gray, Kenny Haynes, Martha Horton, Louis Cram, Daniel Lambert, Amanda Landon Kisto, Charlotte LaSalle, Denise Lara, Margaret Aleke, Mary Mejia, Erica Morgan, Ellen Maria, Trish Ortega, Yara Hernandez Parra, Danny Spears, Michelle Pierce, Rebecca Pierce, David Richard, Tom Robinette, Greg Diana, Romero, Charlotte Salego, Tamara Sider, Ella Samaniesa, Sophia Trevino, Jana Weaver, David Williams, and Carolyn Zabel. That's a mouthful, but we want to say thank you to these employees. These are employees of all different positions. And the attendance of our employees positively impact the learning environment. So we are grateful for their commitment to educational progress of our students. There's a letter attached to the agenda in board docs, a letter that we received from Jill Bassard of Pinal County School Superintendent this past week. And the contents of the letter provide an update on the recent network security breach at the Pinal County Data Processing Office. The investigation on this ordeal is ongoing, but the letter notifies us of the potential compromise of certain employee independent personal information. There is still no conclusive evidence to confirm any compromises of personal information, but extra cautionary efforts are being made by the county to secure data and to prevent reoccurrence. As a proactive measure, the superintendent's office will be providing credit monitoring and identity theft insurance to all affected employees. We continue to work through this unforeseen and unfortunate situation. America's first Thanksgiving was held over 400 years ago in 1621 after the Pilgrims' first corn harvest, and the festival lasted for 3 days. I am grateful for the Native Americans who were instrumental in our survival in this new world, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much for that. Move on to the information discussion items. Financials report.
The attached budget report is a summary of expenditures from July 1st through October 31st, 2023. As of right now, only the first two rows for salaries and benefits are the only ones that are showing true fiscal to date data, just because we haven't been able to complete the re-entry of all the data that was lost. You'll notice that we still have a negative of $1.4 billion. We are pretty confident that with our December revision, we'll be able to eliminate most of that negative amount right there by simply moving in the money around. For October, our total monthly expenditure amount was $846,484.62.
Anybody have any questions? If there are no questions, we are moving on to the Arizona School Facilities Oversight Board application report. Take it away.
Good evening. So the first one we have pending on the doors. That's going to be pending for a while because that's a big project. The next one is the chiller repair. That's the control boards. It was approved and it will take about 8 to 12 weeks to get it in. Okay, and the South Gym AC unit has been ordered, and like I said, it's like 38 something weeks to get in. So it has been ordered. So hopefully by May of next year, I'm kidding. Hopefully by February or March we'll have that in.
And will work.
Any questions? Thank you.
Moving on to G, accountability at a glance. You okay with this popping today? So are you okay to do this today?
I am.
All right.
I'm not a flash drive over the last 2 years. With that.
Okay, so, since we had our letter grades come back, from our past presentation, last month, I was taking a perspective of, we were talking in a broad perspective, and then we're starting to narrow it down. So this is, starting to narrow it, a little bit more, specifics of, where we're at. So the objective of this presentation is to identify, represent, and interpret data for Toltec School District number 22 from the perspective of school letter grades. The conversation continues now that the school letter grades have been released. And when I was talking to Ms. Rogers about this, it was hard to kind of narrow everything down to a simplistic format because there's so much information. So please let me know if you have any questions that maybe I need to find more specific answers to. So recapping from our previous thoughts, we ended the conversation last month with this in mind. So the conversation regarding accountability has started and is continuing. The discussion was presented from a broad perspective, and Toltec students are mirroring the success of other students in Pinal County. In upcoming presentations, the conversation will be from different vantage points, and targeted data will be used to describe and give meaning to each of the vantage points. So we ended it with this slide last month. This slide was part of the conversation, but I wanted to clarify the part where it says student demographics. Last month, I had mentioned that our special ed population was at 32%. And I wanted to clarify that because the 32% represents the percentage of our students that are receiving services, but they may have one or more needs that that we're servicing or providing service to. So the actual number of students is at 22% of our enrolled population. So that's why it says unduplicated, whereas the duplicated represents students with multiple considerations that we're servicing. So I just wanted to make sure that I clarified that. So this slide represents that based on where our letter grades are and where we're at, there's not just one reason. We're all from different professions, and it's not that often where you have one cause and then there's an effect. There's generally multiple points of where improvements can be made. And so I wanted to represent those different areas that when these are in place, we generally have the framework or the basis to achieve and have it to be sustainable. So we're looking at attendance. It's very important. Those schools that are aiding schools consistently, they generally will have an attendance. The students will generally have an attendance percentage of 95%. So the principals, they have their data writers that was brought, that was given to them, and it includes a lot of these different vantage points. Are we up to 95%? No. But is it something that can be achieved? Yes. We're looking at safe, supportive, and collaborative culture, and this takes time for this to happen. Employee retention is another thing. So it's really important that those teachers that are here are serviced and have a reason to feel included and supported while they're here. Appropriately certified teachers, this is a consideration for not only our school district, but for every school district around the state, the United States. Strong curriculum, so we have curriculum, and that's positive. And we have curriculum beyond just the math and ELA. So this is something that we need to continue to work with the teachers on how to utilize the curriculum and maximize its capacity. Because the curriculum that we do have, there's a lot of components to it. And so you have stuff in print, and then there's other parts of the curriculum that are online, and there's just so much that of what they can utilize that they have to be taught how to use it. So some of our professional development, we've started with that. We've had our science vendor come in and present. That was the last professional, not this last professional development, but the one before. We had our intervention and our benchmark professional development rep that came in on Friday that is working with us so that we can utilize our intervention tool and understand our benchmarks better. Parent and community involvement, so there has been some of that, that by having the families come in for lunch, the carnival here was fantastic. So the community is coming, is participating in the school environment. Effective leadership. So what's good is that we have leaders at both of the schools, plus at the district level. And so we're working on continuing to build that out as well. Effective instructional practices. That's one of how are the teachers performing in the classroom, what type of support do they need. So that's something that I've been working on and trying to make that a little bit more systematic. And then also systems in place with shared common goals. So at our professional development last Friday, we talked about this, trying to put systems in place, not only to better utilize the instructional materials and the base of what we have right now, but to also plan, because there's a potential for growth within the district, and in order to be successful with that growth is whatever we do now to provide a framework and to provide a basis of how the district is going to operate. These systems have to be in place. So these are the different vantage points. We're not going to get to all of them today, but at the same time, you have a form that's not a form, but a handout in your presentation that, and I'm not going to go into that in detail, but a lot of this information that I'm sharing now fits along with that. So we have at ACES.
Have this handout.
Oh, okay. So ACES, the letter grade for ACES was a C, Toltec a D, and the district a C. So each letter grade is given a point value, or it earns a point value, and so that's how we got our district grade. So with that, if we go to the next slide, C means performing, and so the definition of that is adequate performance, but needs improvement on some indicators. So the handout that you have are a lot of the indicators, and then the percentages of how basically how it's weighted. So everybody starts out with 100% and 100 points, and then you're earning those points, and they're giving percentages for each of those values. So the cut scores, in order to determine what letter grade you have for C, is 71.99. It should be 60 to 71.99. The ACES cut score was 61.25. So it's a lower C. Whereas if we go back over to now Toltec, we have minimally performing, inadequate performance in proficiency and growth relative to the state average. The cut score on that is a range of 47 to 59.99. So for the TES cut score is 58.01. So that's on the high end of the D range, the cut scores. And so when you look at the data as a whole, not just with the letter grades, when we were creating, or when I was getting the binders and information put together, is our kids are, with most schools, they're performing pretty close to each other. So they're kind of mirroring each other. So there's definite areas where we can improve on. So this graph matches up with your handout. So if you take a look there where it says growth, this is not representing our growth. It's just representing in a different format that 50% of the scores or the points that you can earn come from the growth area. Okay, the acceleration and readiness, so that's at 10%. And that's that section, it should be at the bottom of your handout. And there's a lot of variables in it. So going back to that other slide where we looked at attendance, appropriately certified teachers, ELL growth, the exceptional students that receive special ed services. Those points kind of match within there. And there are some definite areas within that acceleration and readiness section that we can be working on. We definitely need to show more growth, but we're working on how do we understand what our growth should be and how can the teacher adjust their instruction to match up with each of the students. So then there's that ELL component, and that's not only if students improve from moving from one category to another, but if they're exited out, that they become proficient. So that's at 10%, and it's 5% within that 10% of what I just talked about. The proficiency, again, if they're ready to, if they're meeting the requirements of the grade level, and if they are ready to go to the next grade level. Okay, so that one particular handout has a lot of information, and what our goal is to try to figure out how can we best maneuver that and make the adjustments so that we can show more growth. Okay, and so we've already started looking at that. So next steps, we continue to analyze the data at a deeper level, district and at each of the schools, identify the needs for continuous improvement at each school, create a plan of action to fit the needs of each school. So even though our students are showing pretty similar results, each school is a little bit unique and what their needs are. The other thing too is that we will be on school improvement status, especially at TES. We have already met and have scheduled the time frame to meet with that program specialist. And so they will be, Mr. Corzan and myself, we will be meeting with that person on December 15th. And so that conversation is, will be starting. In addition, with the school improvement stuff, and this was before our letter grade here, is that there's subsections that we need to work on at both schools. And so that was in prior years that we're trying to work on. Some of those subgroups we've already met the requirement to move out of school improvement, so targeted school improvement. So some of that we've already done, but then we're also working on these subgroups of students. So that's kind of simple, but at the same time, I hope it's a little bit more focused. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
I gather Toltec had a C prior to this,
I must say, yeah.
so how did we get from C to A?
Well, that's kind of, I didn't do a whole lot of comparison from the year before, to see the specifics of that. But I can tell you that attention to detail in the sense of, that's a tough question because there's a lot of different avenues that create that grade. So again, it's not just one aspect. I would say the biggest part is to answer your question, is the growth of moving the students, of meeting the standards. And that's one of the biggest areas I think that would have put us in that category. However, when you take a look at, so if you look at the science on that, at both schools, we did not get any points for that. And to either show that we met proficiency or that we moved or showed growth. And what we're noticing, and this is just one example, is that we need to look at our schedule a little bit better to have enough time to include that in, because it's a requirement. They need to learn science. And then to work with the teachers on how to integrate the teaching of subject areas within some other subject areas. So that's just one example. But I would say, to answer your question right now, is not showing enough growth.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. All right, the next up is number 5, call the public. Do we have any calls from the public?
None.
All right, moving on to action items. Action item A, student activities treasurer.
On June 12th, 2023, you guys approved Angel Williams to serve as a student activities treasurer. She resigned on October 23rd, 2023. And so I did not reopen that position during this time of budget constraints. I did a little adjustment with personnel that we already have in office. And Melody Sites, our director of finance, is taking on the responsibility of student activities treasurer.
Do we have any questions at all at the various sites? We will first the director of finance. If we have no questions, would I give a motion to put Mary Sites as director of finance?
She is the director of finance for the
I mean, for the student activities.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez. Do we have a second? I have a second by Mr. Ritter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passed. Moving on to time and effort procedure.
It's our fiscal responsibility to provide time and effort procedures. And so there's 2 documents. One is the time and effort procedure, and the other is the monthly report. And this is required for employees who are paid with federal grant funding.
Do we have any questions about this? Kind of straightforward. If there are no questions, I'd like to have a motion for the time and effort procedure. So moved. All right, we have a motion by Mr. Rubberstein. Do we have a second? Minus, second by Mr. Portwright. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes. School resource officer, action item C, school resource officer and intergovernmental agreement.
This is between Pinal County and the Toltec School District for our school resource officer here in Arizona City. And this is just a matter of protocol. We do obtain grant monies, and this is just the IGA intergovernmental agreement between, so we can have our SRO here at ACES.
Any questions? If there are no questions, I would like to have a motion on the school resource officer intergovernmental agreement.
I move that we accept the intergovernmental agreement.
Mr. Portwright, there's been a motion. Do I have a second? And Mr. Lopez has been second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes. Moving on to action item G, Desert Sonita Community Health Center.
I'm going to ask Dr. Navarra and his wife to approach the podium. This is a memorandum of understanding. It's been revised at your directive, and the revisions are outlined in green. Desert Sonita is our new community health center, and the original main clinic is in Ajo. And these are Arizona nonprofit corporations that federally qualified health centers. Dr. Dan Navarro is the CEO, and you can take it from here, Dr. Navarro.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm Dan Barber, the the CEO of Desert City Community Health Center. I do have I can give you these, helpful in terms of the background, general background on our facility. We did come before, come to the superintendent, a month and a half or 2 months ago now, to propose an idea that we have seen work elsewhere in the country and throughout Arizona, never in this region, never in this specific area, and I think it's a long time coming. Let me take a positive moment to introduce you to not only my Dan Barber, but also my colleague and our school-based mental health, our current on-staff school-based mental health clinician, and who comes from education, so 20 years of education, and then moved into, during the pandemic, moved into mental health service. But we have several clinicians on staff who are school-based mental health professionals dedicated to this purpose. Coming down from Washington State, where I served a Native American tribe and have done so for the last about 15 years, serving Native American tribes on reservations in federally qualified health centers. We established some very significant, very high impact programs involving the provision of comprehensive mental health services in school-based settings. And the result of those were so dramatic that our board of directors took that on as a new addition to our mission. So in each community we're located, then in Ajo, serving the community there since 1986. If you consider the closure of the mine and opening of the health center, the transition point in outpatient community health in various capacities, now a very comprehensive approach to care in a very large clinic facility there. And our newest facility opened in 2017, soft opening, really rapid growth this last year with the addition of several new medical providers and as well as behavioral health services and the opening of our community pharmacies here in Arizona City. We are actively engaged in opening additional similar facilities at Coolidge, in addition to Steve Coolidge, and at Stanfield Elementary School. And so we have a commitment to the region and to the work, and are interested in providing in-school, school-based, independent and in-school, school-based community health services, and especially to the Toltec School District behavioral health services at a master level, and really cutting edge evidence-based work. I'm happy to share anything that you would, answer any questions you might have, speak specifically to the MOU draft, and see what we can do to help you with this decision.
All right, do we have any questions? I like the idea that you were coming to the schools. The issue that we did have is the fact that a child here would be able to walk in and get their own birth control on their own from age 13, am I correct?
So in the school setting, we are not proposing to offer any health services that would provide IV diagnosis and treatment of medical conditions, especially those that would involve the treatment of women's health conditions or provide contraceptive care or anything like that. Though in a general sense, in Arizona, a child could go into a community health center, and if they are over the age of 18, they can request consultation with a provider regarding outpatient care for contraceptives. That is legally possible. It is not something that we see. It is not something that that is a priority for our practice. Our practice is a very general family-based clinical setting. We are not the type of practice that is seeking to implement any type of social construct or any type of medical service, such as you would see in some other types of very specific targeted types of clinical practices, outpatient women's health settings, such as Planned Parenthood or something of that nature. That is not us. We are an outpatient primary care medical facility. Our focus is basic primary care medicine. The possibility exists in our clinic that an individual under Arizona law could come and seek care at the age of 13 without their parents' knowledge. It is very remote. It is something that is practically there. In the school-based setting, it is not something that we would have we would ever encounter. And it's been explicitly spelled out in the revised MOU as a result of their expressed concerns as well.
Any other questions?
My comment, I visited the clinic, had a lot of questions answered there. One thing I liked about, I'm pretty sure it's in the MOU, I can't find it right in a second, was that there will be a yearly report by the clinic to the board as to what services are being provided in a general sense, obviously in compliance with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and both for our purposes, because we're a grant-funded nonprofit, and you are a grant-funded and publicly funded elementary district, it's critically important for us to have data just like the data that you were just presented, and for you to have data in developing new and unique relationships. And data informs everything, all of our decision making and all of our public asks for funding. The hope this next year is that the federal government will continue what are called new access point grant applications. The hope is that we would be eligible to seek funding under that, funding that would be, that we could collaborate with you all on and other school districts in the establishment of even larger scale services and funded services, facilities, and things of that nature. Anything like that would be wholly data driven. And so that report, yes, it can certainly a report will be general terms, the types of cases we've seen, the types of interventions that are provided, the outcomes and success rates would be, I think, very helpful for those types of endeavors and would inform the process and the public with regard to the good work that we're doing together.
Very good.
Any other questions? And if I'm reading this right, no actual medical care is provided within the schools.
That's right.
Refer to us.
That's right. So in the case that, so in some school-based health centers, and it's certainly an option to explore in the future. Given your space constraints at this time, at least the proximity of the clinic to the Arizona City School, not necessarily to the Tulsa School, but given your space and the availability of our services in the community, we're focusing on things that can be provided, very, very effectively in the school setting. And physician visits, medical provider visits are not something that is traditionally done, but there are a lot of things that are much more efficiently provided in the school setting. Large-scale physicals for sports physicals, vaccination programs, prevention education, heavy on education with regard to diet and exercise. Those are things that are wonderful opportunities that can be provided in the school setting. They're not really patient care per se. A physical exam is on the order of it, but they're not diagnostic, they're really screening in terms of what the outcome is. But those things that are able to be provided in the school very cost effectively and can increase capacity for the school and for us, and also meet the needs of a large number of students simultaneously, prevent them from having to take time off from the doctor's office. Those are a great opportunity for us. The clinical care, the only clinical care that would be provided in the school setting would be the day-to-day mental health evaluation and treatment services, which in a sense is better than it is strictly provided by mental health professionals. And the only caveat is that we will have available by telehealth psychiatric teams, psychiatry and psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner to evaluate students for a medical condition that affects their mental health and offer treatment for those conditions as well. It's essentially the next level approach to being able to combine community medicine with provision of community mental health services in a very comprehensive manner. They would allow kids who otherwise would have to wait many months for evaluation and treatment in other facilities, other regional behavioral health facilities, access to that treatment very, very quickly and in a school setting, in a very supportive setting, and then be able to provide them that treatment on a regular basis. Any questions?
No, I will say, there's we have a lot of patients and we reach a lot of patients. And I begin that before and second, they do a great job and they take care of the patients. And everybody likes it. I'm glad they're here. Now the community, help out the community and our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that.
And all these ones too, I think my daughter, so, and we've been nothing but that. So if there are no more questions, the Community Health Center MOU, do I have a motion? So I have both Mr. Levitino and Mr. Lopez making the motion. Do I have a second? Okay, we have a second by Mr. Courtright. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Moving on to action item E, ASBA Policy Advisory, volume 25.
We had our first reading and discussion during the last meeting. As we look through the pages of this policy, the notes in red outline changes that were discussed during our October meeting. So the one policy that we discussed changes in was policy 252, policy BEDB agenda. And what I did there was I've attached our current BEDB agenda, and it reflects the the regular meeting order as we typically do it, the outline, and then it puts in there that, the part that is now law, that we, provide the information for the public when they can physically access the meeting. And so you will notice in our agenda, that information, I added it. And, Narda Ferguson is the contact of people with disabilities. Just so you know, Mrs. Ferguson. I did this when you were out.
Thank you.
And, telephone numbers to reach are in the policy as well. And then where what her address is, and you know, how to know. Okay, and then policy CBI, evaluation of the superintendent. The discussion was that we were gonna omit the CBI -EE evaluation of the superintendent. We talked about that evaluation and the concerns, and so, I did attach our current policy of the evaluation that's used for the superintendent. And then policy GCG, we're adding the optional language for a small school district as defined in Arizona Revised Statute 15901. The rest of the policies stand as presented.
Do we have any questions? If there are no questions, we have a motion.
So the recommended action is to approve the policies presented in ASBA Policy Advisory Volume 35, number 3, with the revised EEDB policy and the exclusion of CBI-EB.
Glad you said that, because I wasn't able to see it.
I could just say so moved.
It's ARCBAR request to change the record. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we talked about the transfer of records. It gives a larger window.
Are there any questions on these policies? There's 55 pages.
Yes, we're waiting for a motion. She just had a motion today to approve. Yeah, the reason I hesitated is because I was waiting for her to say something, so, because I wasn't sure that I got to send this to you guys. But, the motion has been stated by, Dr. Levantino. Do I have a second? Mr. Ricker has made a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passed. Moving on to action item F.
And the applicant began her tenure with our district on July 18th in 2016 as an appropriately certified teacher. She resigned on 6/12/2022, but returned to carry out her contract instead of leaving. And then she has most recently resigned on 10/23/2023.
I know a little bit about this information, this is how I put this. She resigned. It was a mutual agreement. And I'll leave it at that. And so I will make the motion, honestly, that gratitude that I see from anybody else. that we do not have $2,000 liquidated damages, do not have $2,000 liquidated damages. Not an issue. Since it's mutual, I see no reason why we should charge her liquidated damages. And so, the motion has been made by myself. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Lopez has made a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes. Now moving on to the next meeting date, close of the meeting, the next meeting date will be
December 11th is the second Monday in December, and we do need to have it on that day because isn't it the AFR? Yeah, the AFR is due by the 15th. Yeah. This is the AFR annual financial report.
I'm very obviously December, but
We need to have it on the agenda so we can, so the companies can present the AFR for you guys to approve before the deadline for the state.
the deadline is 15. That's why we have that.
Which is the normal time for the meeting, you guys. Yeah, we are. Yes, we get off, we need to get back on schedule. Yes. Yes. Okay.
So as everybody in here to be elected, obviously, have to have it on the elected, so, no matter what, we're through with that one. And then moving on to the adjournment, would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, Lopez is in a hurry. Who's made a motion? Do I have a second? Mr. Levitino has made a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Motion passes.